through today's top stories with Julia Hartley Brewer and Nicola Thorp. Welcome to both of you.
Good morning.
Continuing the theme that we've had so far, which is this apparently impenetrable UK border that we've got at the moment for the people who've been through the worst possible experiences of their lives with their young children, having travelled miles through a Europe that welcomed them initially. On the weekend, Priti Patel said that she had surged a team of Home Office officials. So we're going to show you some footage now. This was on the BBC News last night at 6 o'clock. It shows the surge. And this is Misha. So this is Misha, who, with his Ukrainian wife and children, stuck in Calais for 5 days trying to sort visas to enter the country. And so he was desperately on the phone, trying to be directed to a building that ended up with just a notice on the outside. It was empty, locked gate. And had a telephone number. He then eventually managed to get through and to find this place. So he was welcomed with a packet of crisps, a Twix and a bottle of water. And this is the surge. This is the surge that we've been told about.
A trestle table.
Well done, Priti Patel. Job well done. I'm furious. But at the end of the day, we can, as much as we can be shocked and surprised, this is what people voted for. They voted for tighter border controls. They voted for us to leave the EU. So we shouldn't be surprised now that the UK is having a different attitude towards...
They didn't vote for heartless...
No,
and
but
we don't know where
change.
the issue is here. I mean, it's very easy to lay it all on the shoulders of Priti Patel. We don't know where the blame... What it looks like is a bureaucratic catastrophe.
And that's what I talk about. When I talk about voting, I'm not saying that people intentionally, maybe some did, voted to say we don't want people who are in need. What I'm saying is we voted for more paperwork. There's currently hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of aid trying to get across the border into Europe, and it's been stopped at Calais because of paperwork.
Julia.
Nicola, I think, frankly, this, but people voting 6 years ago to have control of their own borders is very different from our duty of care to refugees fleeing a war zone. It's completely different. This is just abject incompetence on the part of the Home Office. It wasn't fit for purpose. You know, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, a year ago, we saw only in August what happened with the people we definitely had a duty of care to, the people who'd worked as interpreters for us in Afghanistan. We'd actually promised them they'd have safe passage to this country. I'm still in contact with a man who worked as an interpreter who's still stuck in Afghanistan in a safe house with his wife and baby, unable to get out. So I don't think we should be surprised by the abject incompetence, bearing in mind most of the Home Office still working from home because apparently they do it so efficiently. Clearly they don't. Look, this is a total abject failure. We should be embarrassed. I had an advisor on my show today on Talk Radio who actually pointed out the most astonishing statistic that we've actually given more visas to Russian oligarchs over the years than we've given to Ukrainian refugees. Now, admittedly, it's less than 2 weeks. The timescale is very different. But yes, we absolutely should do more. But we also shouldn't ignore how much we're doing in other areas. That doesn't excuse us not doing enough right now on refugees. But we have done a lot more than a lot of the countries who are helping refugees. We've done a lot more in terms of actual really serious...
I don't think we should be patting ourselves on the back in any way here. But if you look at how quickly the UK can move on certain things, look at our vaccination programme, look how quickly Nightingale hospitals popped up all around the country. Why are they not acting quicker on this?
Personally, and Julia may not agree with me, I think it's because this is a government that was built on immigration policies, and they now can't be seen to be going soft on immigration.
But this is
different. I know. I mean, but we look at Syria, we look at Afghanistan, and the government's responses to those crises. I wish that wasn't the case. I wish I wasn't able to say that. But that is what I do believe in my heart. That it'd be very difficult.
So what you're saying then, in that case, is that this is intentional. It's not a bureaucratic nightmare. It's not paperwork gone mad.
I'm not saying it's intentional. No, I'm just saying that this is the government. I think they're taking...
You said it was a government built on this policy.
It is a government built on immigration.
So this is deliberate?
I'm not necessarily saying that it's deliberate, but I think that they are taking their time to find out the best way that they can manage both their voters and refugees. But let's face it, how many have we had in so far? 300?
Yeah.
Is that a government who's pro-immigration, who's pro-looking after people from another country?
And is this true, Julia? I mean, is this a point of view that, you know, it's a legitimate point of view? Do you think that this is fair?
No, I don't think it's a fair point of view. I think this is just a typical Ramona hobby horse, anything to blame. If you're saying that this is a government built on immigration and hating foreigners, which is basically what you're trained to say, Nicola, is you're basically saying that the British people are xenophobic and horrible. Actually, the British people are very much in support of bringing in Ukrainian refugees.
I'm not saying the British people are horrible. I'm not saying that someone who voted for Brexit is horrible. I'm talking about this government. And I'm talking about the fact that, look at the facts, we've got 300 people who've come through.
You raised, Nicola, you raised Brexit. You know exactly what you were doing. This is your hobby horse. Let's talk about the people who are...
It's the first time I've spoken about Brexit.
Now, and those are the Ukrainian people. The British people want to help. They're incredibly generous with charitable appeals. The polls have shown the British people want us to allow more people in. The government says they want to check visas. Certainly some Tory backbench MPs are saying, look, just simply, if you're a child, if you're an adult with a Ukrainian valid passport, that's good enough. We have thousands of Channel migrants coming in without any idea at all. We should be letting these people in. And I think the British people are on the side of that. The government just hasn't got its act together.
Is it any surprise that people go via the Channel when, you know, this is supposed to be the safe passage into the UK?
Let's move on to a slightly different story because this is the third round of talks between Russia and Ukraine. Russia is reportedly demanding Ukraine cease military action, change its constitution to enshrine neutrality so it cannot join the EU or NATO, acknowledge Crimea as Russian territory, amongst various other things as well. Not much optimism here. The talks are continuing. I guess that is one bit of hope. But yeah, not realistic.
Third round of talks. They want to honour humanitarian corridors, but why should we believe that?
Well, they want to honour those corridors into Russia and into Belarus. So straight into the arms of the people that are invading them.
And they've bombed people, they've shelled people who've tried to take those routes anyway. Perhaps Putin has said, you know, if Ukraine acknowledges Crimea or the other two republics, does Putin want it to look like a win for him? Whereas actually, is he secretly admitting that he has failed here?
I want to finish on this one, because our first guest actually, we didn't put them on the telly because no, we didn't want to, they didn't want to. But she brought the children in who she's just brought back from Ukraine. And the little boy, we both looked into his eyes, and it was fearful. What the hell is happening to me? He was in Ukraine playing in a playground, and the next minute he's in some strange TV studio. An 11-year-old Ukrainian refugee who hasn't been named travelled 600 miles across the country to the Slovakian border by himself. He's been reunited with relatives. He's Zaporizhia, that's where he came from, and journeyed almost the entire width of the country carrying just a plastic bag and a passport with a phone number written on his hand. His parents had to stay in Ukraine, and thanks to that number written on his hand, he was carrying, staff managed to contact relatives who came to meet him.
750 miles all alone as an 11-year-old, and that was the best option for his mother, who was who's a widow, looking after an elderly relative and other children, and he did it. There is I don't want to live in a world where this is the best option for a child. Also, you know, children should not be waiting, especially on their own, at these borders. There are human traffickers who are operating now at the moment in France and Calais. I wish children could get here to the UK safely, and then we figure out their paperwork.
Julia?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, the thing to remember, you know, these are European families living in ordinary homes, going to school, going to work, living ordinary lives in homes that look just like ours. And then they wake up one day and they're in the middle of a war zone. This is absolutely horrific. But I think what struck me about that, and I don't know if other parents have done it as well, my daughter, when she was younger, we had a bonfire night or somewhere where there's a small chance, you know, in the dark, everyone getting excited, you might get lost. I used to write with a, you know, Sharpie, my mobile number on her hand. So that if she did get lost, someone could see the number and they could call me. The idea that I'd be worried about my daughter maybe having 3 minutes not knowing where mum was, a child travelling across a continent at 11 years old, not knowing when he would see his family again or when he returned to his homeland. I don't know about any other parent, but it breaks my heart.
All right, let's leave it there for the moment. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Always two very different views.